Delicious. My name is Lydia.
Yeah, I'm Kitty G.
And today we're going to be...
talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. And specifically, we're going to be doing a kind of a spoiler discussion.
Spoiler alert.
So, spoiler alert for everyone.
Spoiler alert.
Before we jump into kind of a discussion about what we thought of the game overall, some spoiler discussion, maybe some theory talk, that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
let's do it.
You want to start? What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I know you were mentioning people online didn't enjoy the ending.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
I liked it, though. I thought it was alright.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic game. I thought it's easily a 10 out of 10 game. I saw that IGN gave it an 8 out of 10, which I thought was pretty shitty considering it's really well done. The graphics are so superb that it's like if you could play Final Fantasy Advent Children, if you were playing it. Right?
Yeah.
It's that good. The graphics are fantastic. The characters are so lovable. The voice acting is super good.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely loved Aerith's voice actress. I thought she was adorable.
And
right?
she is a YouTuber as well.
Yes, which we found out after.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved, well, everything about it really, but the way Tifa's face, like, they made her so perfect, right? And her red eyes, look, it was really, like, I don't know, captivating and whatnot, right? But I really enjoyed the game. Obviously, there's two camps. There's those who love the game, and there's those who hate the game. Even on my Facebook, I posted, I don't know if you noticed, but I posted on my Facebook, I'm like, I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. And the very first comment that someone commented was this guy that we sort of know. We met him at a convention one time, and he's like, I want my money back. And I'm like, what? What? Right? And essentially, I'm like, why? What's wrong, right? And he responded saying, I wanted a remake, not Kingdom Hearts remix, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
I did get some Kingdom Hearts vibes with like those like whisper people with the cloaked figures.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with him, but like here's the thing, right? Like we all would have loved a play-by-play exact replication of the game, just with updated graphics, right? That would have been nice. But it's been 25 years. Some things that were okay back then aren't okay now. Right. So we had to they had to
revise a bunch of stuff. But also, you went into Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1 blind.
Yes.
Nobody knew Aerith was gonna die. Nobody knew who Sephiroth was, or who Cloud was, or Barret, or anybody, really, right? So you went into that blind, and nothing is ever going to replace that experience.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how much HD remake or whatever that they throw out there, it will never replicate that initial experience because now you know Sephiroth is this guy who used to be an amazing soldier, now he's evil, and Cloud killed him, and he's actually up in the crater up north, and that's not really Sephiroth roaming around. That's actually like the remnants of those clone dudes with the tattoos that have Genova cells, and Sephiroth is able to manipulate Genova, and etc., right? And then now you know the truth of who Cloud really is, and how he's not really a soldier, but he's sort of a soldier. So going into this, if they just did a straight remake, you would never have those same feelings that you got the first time playing it, because everything would have been the same, and you'd just be like, well, I know what's going to happen. It just looks nice, right? And there are ways to get that if that's what you're looking for. There's people who are creating like HD skin packs that you can download for the old game, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And play the old game with like up-resed images for essentially for the PC version of the game, right?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
But I mean, that to some extent that's what I was initially wanting. And then when they first announced, like, okay, we're going to be having an action combat system and not a turn-based, I was like, okay, we're going in a different direction. And then it continued to...
from the light!
Yes.
Yes.
But essentially, after beating the games, right? After beating the game, and, you know, we'll get into all of, like, the whispers and the ghosts and, you know, all that stuff. But essentially what I liken it to is this, right? This is why I grabbed this before we jumped into it, is the Evangelion remake series, right? Where it is, you know about the remake series, where it is essentially, it started off as if you don't know what Evangelion is, Google it, it's a mecha, but the original series ran in like 1995 or something, or 98, and then they remade it like in the mid-2000s, and they're still working on it even to this day. But essentially, that's kind of what I liken this Final Fantasy VII Remake to, right? Is the Evangelion remake, where it's like, okay, this is Evangelion remade for the new generation with better animation and cleaner drawing and all that stuff. But they also they started off like, okay, this is the exact same as the original Evangelion, just like this started off as the exact same Final Fantasy, and then it started veering off and being like, no, now we're our own thing, right? And that's sort of where they're taking it with this whole thing at the end of the game. I assume everyone who's watching this has beat the game.
If you haven't, spoilers.
Well, I've already dropped a bunch of spoilers.
Oh, wait.
But yeah, at the end of the game, essentially what you could take from it is that the future is not set. So, you know, everything that you have played in the original Final Fantasy, it may play out the same, but it also may play out completely differently. Anyways, we won't go on too long because I don't want this to be like a 40-minute video, because then no one's gonna ever watch it. So essentially, to come back to how we feel about the story, how did you feel about the whole idea of this being faithful to the remake, but also giving us a new experience? Because going forward, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Literally, the game ends with you killing Destiny. That's literally, they're like, these ghosts are the whims of fate, the whispers of fate that control Destiny. And if you didn't notice, every time the ghosts intervene, it's to try to make you veer back to what the original game was, right? So there's a few times the ghosts intervene, like, if you remember, there's a scene early on where the ghosts are like, there's a scene early on, and they're at the bar, and this is after the first mission, and it ends up that they don't want Cloud to come on the second mission.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Then the ghosts intervene, because Cloud in the original game does go on the second mission. The ghosts intervene by injuring Jesse's legs, so Jesse can't participate in the second mission. So now Cloud is back on the roster. And then the ghosts are like, okay, we're cool, right?
Our work here is done.
Because the ghosts, well, if you think about it that way, the ghosts are intervening because they want it to remain on the track of the original game.
Are the ghosts fans?
Well, yeah. Yeah. They're your
Mic drop.
No joke. That the expectations of the fans are like the ghosts, right? No joke. For real. And so it's like, okay, so these are the expectations of the fans, you know, or Destiny, right? Or the path of the old game, pushing them back onto track. And it's just like when Hojo is about to reveal more truth about Cloud, but that's not supposed to happen yet in the timeline. So the ghosts intervene and pull him away into the other room, right?
Oh my god!
Right?
Yes,
and
they
there's
do.
multiple times where the ghosts intervene and prevent the original, trying to get the game to play out on the original storyline, right? And so, like, when you think about it from that way, you're
When Barret
like,
got stabbed, they're like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to die yet. This isn't like...
yeah, and they healed him. But they didn't heal the president who also got stabbed, because he was supposed to be stabbed in the original game at that point. Get it? Get it? Like, the ghosts have a purpose.
I get it.
Right? And it's like the fans or the original timeline trying to intervene and be like, no, you need to stay faithful to the original. Right? And that's why it's like, the title, Final Fantasy Remake, it's like, you're not just doing a remake of the graphics, they're doing a remake of the story, right? Essentially, the ghosts are always intervening to try to keep the game on the original plot, right? The ghosts are trying to keep the game on the original plot, and anytime you veer off, they intervene. right? And so at the very end of the game, Sephiroth literally swipes a sword at Destiny and opens a gateway, which like Aerith stabilizes.
Yeah.
Then you go through the gateway, and then you fight Destiny, right?
That's a big thing with the big hands.
Yes, that's Destiny. And you fight Destiny, and then you destroy Destiny, and then they're like, now our future is in our hands. And Destiny is giving you visions of the old game and what happened in the old game, right? So it's telling you things about the future.
Yeah.
Right? That's supposed to play out, but won't, because now you've destroyed Destiny, and now you're on your own path that is probably still going to be along the lines of the original game, but veer off in some areas, right? Because they don't want to veer off too far, but they obviously want to still have some creative freedom and not be like, we are literally hand-bound to what happened in the original, right? And I'm guessing that one of them will be, Aerith is alive.
Aerith surviving.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Because they made a point of showing her death scene and, like you lowering her into the lake.
Yeah.
And they're like, that is our destiny if we don't defeat this guy today. Right? And then you defeat him. So some very interesting things to think about there. So I kind of ranted on for a bit there, but taking all of that and like trying to, I don't know, get a grasp on it, what did you think of that kind of like take on the story and how it like was faithful to the original but also allowed for creative freedom?
Overall, I thought they did fine. I didn't think that it was such like when they stabbed Barret, I was pissed, but then they fixed it. So I was like, okay.
Right? Fate intervened.
Yes, exactly right. So but in the future, like the ghosts, I'm assuming are not going to be there.
Yes,
so,
because they killed the ghosts. So I assume now if we go forward and the ghosts are still present, I'm going to have a problem with it because they literally killed Destiny, right? Like literally, they're like breaking the fourth wall and saying, Final Fantasy VII, the original, we killed it. We literally killed it. Okay? And now we're doing our own thing.
But they weren't just Destiny, the fans. Weren't they also part of the live stream too?
I don't know what. Well, that's my assumption was it was from the live stream. But I mean,
like, the live stream is still on the planet.
Once you get later into the game, Red 13's like, no, actually, they're whispers of fate, and they're trying to keep us on track with Destiny, right? And what our Destiny has in store for us, right? And we're pissing them off because we're veering off Destiny, right?
That's what human beings do. What?
The whole point is they're making a part 2. And they might even be making a part 3, 4, 5. Who knows, right? We don't know how many parts.
I feel like it's going to be a long time. There's so many
If they did this over the next 10 years, I'd be fine with it.
I would be
long
happy.
As each game is of the quality of this game, I'd be fine with it. But
more limit breaks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just
more limit breaks, yeah.
Yes.
But if they're doing it over however many episodes, they need the ability to have some creative freedom there, right?
Yeah.
And explore other, what if Aerith lived on and you had to choose between these two girls, which is going to be your girlfriend? And, what if that was actually part of the game, and going forward, like the relationships develop and how you develop your relationships with other characters and so on. And things could pan out differently because it's not set in stone, right? Everything is free to go one way or the other now, rather than being locked down, right? So I thought it was awesome. I thought the ending, it was not what I was expecting at all, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get it. I get why they want the freedom, and I'm okay with it because the experience of playing the original on the PS1, and I have it downloaded on my Switch and the PS4, the original game, and that experience still exists, and this doesn't invalidate that experience, right?
No.
This doesn't say that Final Fantasy VII that you know and love is out the window. Most of this game is faithful to that game.
Yeah.
It's just they're like, just so you know,
we're
gonna have some creative freedom in the future, and I was fine with that.
As long as it's not like Mass Effect 3 creative freedom, then it's fine.
Well,
as long as it's
Mass Effect 3 was mostly good. It was just like the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's
what
I'm saying.
Atrocious.
Like, just don't screw it up, and they won't, because this is like their
their cash cow.
Honestly,
their golden goose.
Yes.
Their
number one
cash
title.
Money.
Yeah, like they're not gonna screw it up. So
they have to pay so much attention and delay it as many times as they need to get it perfect.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing a part 2, right? That was the other thing I wanted to get into, was that if you're doing a part 2, the whole idea of them having the creative freedom is so that the next one, you're looking forward to it. You're not like, okay, part 2, imagine if they were just like, we're just staying 100% loyal to the original, right? But you need to buy part 2 and part 3 and part 4.
You already know what's gonna happen.
You just be like, okay, well, looking at this, part 2 is probably just gonna be from exiting Midgard to Costa del Sol, so I'll skip that one. And then part 4 might be from here to here, so I'll pick up that game. And so now they're like, well, you don't know what's gonna happen, so you're gonna have to play the next game to know what happens, right? So there's maybe something crazy and different happens. Maybe they meet Sid right away and they get the airship and they do something else.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens,
like,
right?
did you say the Moogle made a cameo really quickly?
Oh, not the Moogle, XIII.
Yeah, sorry.
He made like a 5-second cameo when Sector 7 plate fell.
And
right?
I didn't even see that. But, like, you're a hardcore fan and you saw that, so it's like a little Easter egg for you. You're like, oh my god, I know that guy.
Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, it's XIII, right? But it's like, okay, anyone else would just be like, who the heck is that dude, right?
Yeah,
Because they show him on screen and he's like pounding the ground like he's upset that the plate fell. But for anyone who doesn't know Final Fantasy 7, just be like, okay.
Some random guy's mad.
So you might see someone else die instead of Aerith, or Aerith might survive and no one dies, right? And maybe there'll be a happier ending for everyone.
What if Zack comes back? Like,
what
we
if
don't know.
Yeah, what if Zack shows up to help out, or maybe I don't think he would be loyal to Shinra, considering what they did to him. But like, it'll be, if you think about it, it'll be a happy ending for everyone if people survive, right? Because Zack's alive, Aerith is alive, so they can pair off, and then Cloud and Tifa, right?
Yeah.
Can pair off. Because in the original, it's like this tragic story of like, Aerith was sort of attracted to Cloud because he had a similar vibe to Zack, right? And Cloud was attracted to Aerith a little bit because his memories were all mixed up with Zack's memories, right?
Right.
And so it's like, okay, that's why they kind of are into each other, right? But really, Cloud's into Tifa, but because his brain's all messed up, it's not till like the third disc or the second disc of the game, the original PlayStation game, that, the whole plot of who Zack is, Cloud's true past comes out, and then, the feelings are resolved with Tifa and the whole Aerith dying and etc, 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 right? So essentially, going forward, things are gonna probably play out still similar to the original, but also, have the opportunity to veer in different directions where they feel that they want to do something different and creative, and I don't have a problem with that. I've seen a ton. I looked around on Reddit and stuff like that before we started this video, and there are so many people who were so angry. They were so angry about, essentially, this game not staying faithful to the original story, when I feel they did a fantastic job of staying fairly loyal, right? I didn't expect them to be 100% faithful to the original, but I expected some level of faithfulness to the original, and I think they did that. I mean, you've got all the essential elements. You've got the flower girl, the fighter, like Tifa. You've got Barret, who's still Barret, and you've got Cloud, who's still Cloud, who's, like this brooding, angsty guy on the outside, but he's actually a really good soul deep down, right? And you see how they, like, at the start, Barret and Cloud are, like, clashing, but by the end, it's like, don't worry, bro, I got your back, right? And it's like, you see their relationships develop and all those things, and you're just like, oh my god, I remember these friendships from when I was a teenager playing in high school and being like, this was the most special game ever. And I should have said that at the beginning of this video, but yes, Final Fantasy VII was probably the most special game to me, like, ever.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I think everyone, it affected
anyone
in
our generation, at least, right?
Oh my god, it was a total
super, super special.
Game changer. It was a game changer for the industry. It was a game changer for storytelling in gaming. Like, it was phenomenal.
All the feelings you felt for those characters, right? And it was also one of the first Final Fantasies that kind of started to introduce like romance, like a good amount of it, right? Whereas like the other ones, like the games before it, there was some, right? Like there was Rydia and Cecil or something from like the old Final Fantasy IV and a couple other relationships, but nothing felt like what you started to feel for Aerith and Tifa, where you're like, whoa, I'm totally torn between these two girls and I'm in like a love triangle here. And it's like, and then after that, right, nothing really ever lived up to that again, ever, right? I mean, can you think of another one? I mean, I guess there was
8 was okay.
8 was okay, right, where it had that love feeling to it, but I mean, 9, Zidane and Garnet, right? I mean, there's love in that one too, absolutely. And then 10, you've got Titus.
Yeah.
And
Renoa?
No, not Renoa.
Oh my god.
Yuna.
I'm
Yuna. Renoa is Final
That's
Fantasy 8.
8.
The Squall.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
But then after that, there's no real love stories, right? But I always feel like the love stories really invest you in the characters, right? And that as the series matured, right? As the series went on from, you know, being like 16-bit characters to like real characters, right? You started to resonate with them more and, you know, project yourself into them more, and you're like, wow, like I'm in this love triangle with Tifa or Aerith, or, you know, Renault, I gotta look out for my girlfriend or whatever, right? It's like, you know, I don't know, I always feel like the love story invests you more in what the characters are feeling, right?
Because when you care about the characters, you care about the game, you care about finishing, like, yeah, you're exactly right, you're invested. And it's just Final Fantasy VII, it just has like this like beautiful mix of like people, and like the story is good, and you actually care about them, you actually give a shit about them, which is like
even they threw in Jessie there, and what did you think of that? Did you like Jessie?
Yeah, I like Jessie.
She was like a spunky little character.
Yeah, and Johnny was funny.
Yeah, I like Johnny too. Johnny was in the original too, but he had like a very small part, right? He appears like twice. He appears the very first time you enter Sector 7, he's like running off into the distance, and then the first time you go to the Honeybee Inn, he's like in the waiting line at the Honeybee Inn. But he doesn't play a major role like he does in this game, in the remake. But it's like, they have all those characters, right? And they've just expanded on them, right?
They just fleshed them out more.
And they had to, right? Because, let's be honest, Midgar is one of the more interesting parts of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
After that, there are other places, like you end up at Juno, which is like a seaside military base, and some other things like Costa del Sol, which is like the beach resort.
The casino?
That is the Golden Saucer.
I love that.
You know, and then what's Cosmo Canyon? There's a lot of great memorable places in the Rocket Town, and etc., etc., etc. But it's like Midgar is like the city, right?
Yeah.
When anyone thinks of Final Fantasy VII and locales in Final Fantasy VII, you think of Midgar, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, like that was an experience, right? And how it's like super tech heavy, and then as soon as you leave Midgar, it's like most of the other cities are more simplistic, right? And it's like they did a great job of recreating Midgar, and on top of that, since the story was going to be taking place 100% just in Midgar, they had to flesh out the city of Midgar. And sometimes I did feel like the game was padded.
Yes.
And like we filmed another video about it where we talked about how from essentially where you face off against Corneo, right? And I don't know what chapter it was, like maybe 8 or something, where you have to do the cross-dressing scene. From there up to like the pillar, I felt it was really padded out, right? That section.
A lot of fetch quest kind of feels going on.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff that was padded out, but just the amount of like care and attention to detail that went into the game, I just forgave it, you know? Like, even though like sometimes, like, I think almost any game you play, you hit points where you're like, whoa, this is so annoying. Like, even like playing Animal Crossing, which you love, there's a few times where you're like, okay, this is getting irritating, right?
Bunny Day, oh my god.
Right? But it's like, you forgive it because overall, the experience is here, right? Like, it's here when everything else is like down here, right? So even though there are a few like nitpicks, I don't allow that to affect my overall vision or, you know, my experience on it, which was absolutely positive,
Yeah.
right? And I thought the game gave the girls lots of time to shine as well.
I did like that.
You know, Tifa,
as a woman, I appreciate strong women characters. It's like, good. Thank
Tifa
you.
absolutely kicked butt,
Yes,
right?
she did.
And they created, okay, so one thing I'll say is, like, in the original, right, sometimes I would definitely lean on just being like, attack. Just keep attacking. Who cares about casting spells? Just barrage these enemies till they're dead. And a lot of times that would just work, right? You could just hold X and keep attacking and physical attacks, right? So in this game, they made it a little more like you needed to rethink some strategies, and they definitely put emphasis on like the magic side of it, where it's like, okay, this enemy is resistant to physical. You need to lean on your spellcasters. Well, that means Aerith has time to shine, whereas in the original game, I didn't use Aerith that much because she hit her physical attacks were weak, so it'd always be like, I'd rather have 3 strong physical attackers in my group and just, you know, mow through the enemies.
So it's mostly
right?
like Tifa, Barret, Cloud.
Yeah. And then later you would get Sid, and he was pretty good too, right? And he was a physical attacker, so then you'd have Sid, Tifa, Cloud for like the whole game, right? And that was like my main party, really, right? And Barret sometimes. But like Red 13, Kate Sith, Vincent, Yuffie, Aerith to some degree, like never got a chance to shine, right? So this game definitely gave them all a chance to shine, and I don't know, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, why don't you say something?
Well, I'm thinking that, okay, so, you know, like, obviously, it would have been nice if this was an exact copy of the original, but that's not what happened here, right? So, but what I am enjoying, that I want to think, I have like this very like Futurama brain, right? Whereas like, you know, timelines can be very interesting, and like a butterfly effect, one minor thing can change an entire thing, which is kind of interesting, right? Because in the game they showed clips of like Advent Children, they showed clips of other other things that happened, right? So you're just like, and they're like, well, the future hasn't been written yet. So you're like, oh, is this like an homage saying like, you know, maybe things are going to be a little bit different, fans, please don't be mad? Or is
they're definitely saying
or is it something like, you know, inspirational, like, you know, you have your future in your hands, you know, the future isn't written, you have to write it, right? So you're like, yeah, like that's cool too. So like, I don't know, like, God, would I love to have Zack back? Yes, absolutely. That would be so
But
killer.
I don't know. That's one thing that I was a little iffy on, just because like his tragic fall is part of what
gave
Cloud a push.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if he's alive, then it's like, okay, well, there's going to be some kind of weird conflict in the next game.
Twinsies!
Right,
Yeah.
we're going to have two Buster Sword guys in the party. I mean, it could happen. And maybe they could do it well, right? But I don't know, right? I don't necessarily want a clone of Cloud in my party, right? I like the diversity of the cast.
Yeah.
And if we've just got Cloud and Zack, then
They're bros.
yeah.
It's like the latest Final Fantasy where they go on that, you know, car road trip together. Except, you know, with swords. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I mean, I know we're gonna have to wait a really long time for the next one.
At least 2 years, probably.
Yeah, like I'm surprised they like sandwiched so much into this one. Like Sephiroth appeared. And,
yeah, because he didn't really appear in Midgar in the original.
Yeah.
Only like hints of him. Like you find a sword stabbed through the president, right? That happens in the original, but you don't actually see Sephiroth. You just see his sword.
Yeah.
Right, and you're just like, oh, okay, so someone murdered this guy. Who was it? But you don't learn it's Sephiroth till much later.
Yeah,
right?
and like
you also find that you remember that giant snake, right? In the original game, there's like this humongous snake, and it's like impaled on a giant sword or something, or a tree. And Sephiroth does that, and Cloud sees it, and he's like, Sephiroth? Is Sephiroth alive?
Yeah.
Who else could have done this, right? And it's like, no, Sephiroth isn't alive. It's a, you know, like we discussed before, remnant of, you know, the clone Genova cells and all that crap, and Sephiroth's manipulating it. But Cloud didn't know that Sephiroth was around then.
Yeah,
right?
like I feel like he was like an air of mystery. He was like a ghost.
It's like, who is this? And it wasn't
like,
until
like
much
feathers,
later.
They're like, what is this? And then like, yeah, exactly. But like Sephiroth's like, I'm here, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I know who he is, but I don't know. It's just,
I wonder how the experience is for someone who never played the game before.
Mm-hmm.
If they went in completely blind, like 100% blind, how they experienced it, right? Because, and whether they felt confused. Because they dropped like a bunch of like cutscenes where you're like, oh, okay, I know what's going on because I played the original and I know who Sephiroth is and I know about the town of Mideel and it getting burned down 5 years ago and blah, 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 blah. But if you don't know those things, whether it's just like, what?
What is this?
What is this crap, right? Right? Like, I don't know. But, I'm excited for what comes next, right? Yes. And it's a little sad to see so many people hate it.
Yeah,
and there's so many people that are angry at the ending when, in my personal opinion, if they did a 1-for-1 remake, you would still not get the experience you're looking for. Because the experience you're looking for, you already had.
Like, if they cut it off after, like, the motorcycle escape, I think that's what a lot of people were expecting, because that technically is the end of the Midgard chapter, right? And so, like, that's what I always thought, too. I thought, I'm like, okay, you know, we're wrapping this up after the motorcycle. But then, like, more stuff happened, and you're just like, and then you even fight Genova at one point, and you're just like, okay, like, yeah, right. Like, I'll take more gameplay because, like, I want it. But it was just, I can see why people were, like, kind of disappointed, but it was still good. I thought it was still well done. The music was good. The music was remixed.
Yeah, that was one thing we didn't touch on so far is the music in this game is, like, stellar.
Yes.
It's like every single song in the entire game is incredible. Yeah. There's, like, no bad music in this game.
Yeah.
The music is like 11 out of 10, right? Like, so well done. The combat system, I'd say, is mostly good. There are times where you feel like an absolute badass, but there are also a few times where you're like, okay, this battle is really annoying. Yes. Right? There's definitely a few times where I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating, right?
Not enough limit breaks.
That's among them.
It out.
I hated that your limit break could be interrupted. That was one thing. So, like, like I'm getting ready to do cross slash, and then they'll like hit me,
or they'll just dodge.
Oh, they'll just move out of the way, right? And it's like this is a limit break. Or like, for example, Tifa's limit break is somersault, right? Somersault. Which is, in the original game. But it's like, okay, I told her to use it, right? While I'm also trying to like micromanage Cloud and Barret at the same time. Yeah. But then because I'm out of range, the AI wasn't smart enough to close the range, then do the somersault. So she just does a somersault where she is, and it's like, okay, it hit nobody. Obviously. It hit nobody. And it's like, okay,
what were you expecting?
It's like, come on, the AI should be smart enough to be like, okay, close the range, or just make her like lunge at them and then do the somersault. I mean, they lunge at them when you're just playing the character and you push attack. If you're like 30 feet away, they dash towards them and then they start attacking, right? So why can't they do that with the limit break? Poor programming. The other thing that was kind of a little negative was you couldn't control Red 13. Yeah. I assume they just didn't want to do the coding. I did read something online like if you're a hacker, which none of us are, but if you are a hacker, you can go in and hack the code apparently, and it makes him playable. So it might have been like he was playable and they made the conscious decision to be like, he's not fun enough and we don't know what to do with him just yet, so disable that feature. Okay. I don't know how true it is. I would YouTube it and see if you can find any gameplay of him being playable, but I did see an article about it. But overall...
Weird decision, because Red 13 is part of the team.
Yeah. And he's not just a guest, right? No. When he joined our party, it's like, Red 13 has joined as a guest. So that means you can't control him, but he is in your party, right? And it's like, okay, so he has no real life bar. You don't have to heal him. You don't have to do anything because technically he's acting independently, but he is part of the party. And it's like, well, thanks. Then he should just be part of the party.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Or if he's a guest, maybe he can kick a little bit more ass.
Yeah.
Just as a joke.
He was doing okay damage, right? Yeah. But it would have been nicer if I was able to like equip him with materia and all that. Because in the original, you could do that, right? He was just another party member. You could do whatever you wanted with him. Anyways, let's wrap her on up because we've been talking. I said I didn't want this to be a 40-minute video. Now it's a 40-minute video.
Sorry. We just love Final Fantasy, and we hope you do too, guys. So let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Did you finish it? If so, What was your favorite part? What did you absolutely hate about it? Do you like that they weren't exactly true to the story, or do you like that they have a little bit of creative freedom? Let us know in the comments below. We want to engage with you guys, so please talk to us. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, give us a like and a share. Likes are very important for our channel as it gives our tiny channel exposure, as we need your help to defeat the one-winged angel, so like our stuff. If you want to follow us on Twitter, our handle is YouAreDorkalicious. We also stream live weekly on Twitch. Our handle is super_Dorkalicious, and don't forget to join our Discord. The link is in the description. Okay, guys, it's been Lydia.
Yup, Kenny G.
And it's been fun dorking out with you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Lydia. If you like what you see, hit that like button as it helps our channel gain exposure. Also consider smashing subscribe. If you like our content, it would really mean a lot and helps our channel grow. If you want to interact with us, leave a comment down below or follow us on Twitch at super_Dorkalicious. We'll see you next time.